Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Kat. For today's video, I will be doing a book review. I am super excited because it is a book I just recently finished. By the way, it is hot as hell out here. We have entered triple digit territory. Actually, we've entered triple digit temperatures like a couple weeks ago out here in California, so it is so freaking hot. Anyways, back to the book that I just finished, and that is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. The reason I want to review this book is because I feel like it explores a lot of relatable themes and very important topics, and it has some very deep messages in here that I feel like will resonate with a lot of people. And although the characters that are in this book are, I think, teenagers, and it is a young adult novel, I still feel like as a 20-something-year-old adult, I was still able to relate to a lot of it. First and foremost, this edition of this book is absolutely beautiful. Like, it is gorgeous. This cover is actually what attracted me to the book in the first place. Like, I've always had Radio Silence on my TBR for a while, but like when I was walking through Barnes & Nobles, I saw this cover and I was like, what book is this? I have some notes here that I'll be referencing, so if you see me looking down, it's because of that. Radio Silence follows Francis and Aled. I'm so sorry, I'm totally mispronouncing his name. But Francis and Aled, I'm gonna pronounce it that way. If it's wrong, I'm sorry. They're both teenagers who are about to head off to college. And for both of them, education is everything. Frances spends her time studying and just immersing herself in academics, and that's all she knows. And she's known to be the clever or smart girl in school, and she feels this pressure to have to uphold that reputation and get into college. A good college, by the way, not just any college. She's trying to get into Oxford. She believes that the path to a happy, successful life is getting good grades, going to a good college, getting a good career, and you're set, right? That's what we've all been told in school. And Alida is also experiencing academic pressure, but in a different way. They both are hiding something from the rest of the world. So Frances loves art. She is an artist, and she spends her time listening to a podcast called University. Little does she know that the creator of the podcast is Alid. And once she finds this out, they both start co-hosting the podcast together, and they are able to show their true selves to each other. So I'm going to start off with the characters. The characters in this book are so relatable. It felt very nostalgic reading it. I believe they are in high school, at least the equivalent of high school in the United States. This book takes place in England. The reason the characters are so relatable is because of the academic pressure they experience to perform well, to be top tier, to be the best of the best. It's not about just getting good grades. It's about being the best of the best. Oh my God, it's like going back in time because I can totally relate. When I was in school, I was expected to perform really well, especially in my household. Academics, school, education was everything. It was the only thing. So getting good grades was highly expected of me, and I put this pressure on myself too, to do the best, the absolute best, to be perfect in school, essentially, the perfect student. And I had a reputation of being the smart girl or the one who always got A's and stuff. And then suddenly I had to keep that up, and I couldn't get anything other than A's. And it wasn't until college that this illusion shattered, that I can't always get A's. So everything Frances experienced in terms of what the right path in life is, and she believes getting good grades, going to good school, getting a good job, starting a family, and you're set for life. That is exactly what was fed to me and a lot of my classmates too. I can relate to this so much, and it just feels like going back in time. It felt so nostalgic, and it's very interesting because as an adult, I look at her problems, I look at all these kids' problems, and I'm kind of like, is that really a problem? Like, it's just such a small thing to worry about. Grades, such a small thing to worry about. But I'm past this stage now, right? I'm looking at it from the lens of an adult. But I remember being their age and being young, and grades were the only thing. Getting good grades was everything. It was the biggest deal. Right now, at my age, it seems like the smallest, most minuscule problem a human being could have. But as a student, it was the biggest problem. I also loved the friendship dynamics between the characters, and I loved the mother-daughter relationship between Frances and her mom. I loved how the friends were there for each other, especially towards the end of the book when they all banded together to help one specific friend out and save them from themselves. But I truly loved how all the friends were there and they had each other's back and they were helping each other and they would not give up on each other. I feel like that's something that's hard to find these days, is having friends who will not give up on you. No matter how much you push them away, no matter how radio silent you become, they will not give up on you. And that truly is such a wholesome friendship that is very much present in this book. Especially between Frances and Alid, I feel like their friendship is just so strong. And it also goes through the test of time. This book does hit and explore some very deep topics and some very important topics. We have academic pressure, we have anxiety, depression, family dynamics, friendship dynamics, abuse, feeling loss, finding yourself, sexuality, identity. I do love how Alice Oseman integrated diversity and representation into her characters. It felt so natural and it just flowed and it just made sense. It was very seamless and it definitely didn't feel forced. Like, there are some books where the authors really try to force diversity into their characters and it just doesn't feel natural. But with Alice Oseman, I feel like the diversity and representation in her book and her characters, it's just so natural that it just works. It's not like something that's being shoved down for the sake of having diversity, right? That pisses me off when authors just shove diversity and representation for the sake of having a diverse book. Like, I don't know a single story where diversity and representation cannot naturally come into their characters. When authors just push it and shove it and it's just not natural and it sounds very awkward and it's not even fully explored, it's just mentioned for the sake of having diversity, I do not like that. I gave this book a 4.5 star rating, and the reason I did is because it is a YA book, right? So it does read younger and it definitely is catered for a younger audience. And I know that if I were around the age of these characters or just a teenager or even in middle school, like a preteen or whatever, I would have really enjoyed this story. Younger me would have loved this story so much and just felt so seen in this book. When I look past at the way the writing style is, it goes deeper than the way it writes. Overall, I think this was a very wholesome and heartwarming story. And the way everything ties in the end, the ending made me cry. Like the last sentence of this story, which I won't read, but the very, very last sentence of this book, it just made me very sad, but in the happy sad way, if that makes sense. Happy sad makes sense. It made me happy sad, but it was very heartwarming and just beautiful, and it tied in very well. And like at the end of the book, you know, all is well, everything will be okay. Editing Cat here. I totally forgot to mention this, but I also wanted to touch base on the mental health rep. Alice Oseman did such a great job depicting mental health in her characters and just all the anxiety that comes with being a teenager and, again, having to do so well in school. And the way her characters went through it and the mental struggles they had to deal with, it was just so well done. And I feel like that's another thing that a lot of us can relate to, doesn't matter what age. But the mental health rep in this book was impeccable. And I'm really happy that Alice Oseman did it the way she did, especially for one of the characters. I think mental health is such a huge deal when it comes to academics and academia. And I feel like when you're under so much pressure, it's so hard to recognize it or be even aware of it because you're just surrounded by academics and the pressure of it. So I think that is another wonderful thing. So if you're looking for a book with great mental health rep, this is it. I'm really happy I picked this up and I read it. It was everything and more. And this is my first Alice Oseman book, and it will not be the last. I am hoping to pick up Heartstopper soon. I think there's 5 volumes out so far, and I'm waiting for the 6th one, but I don't know when it's going to come out, so I might as well just get a head start on reading it. I'm really happy I picked this up. I see why so many people love and adore this book, and I see why Alice Oseman is such a huge author and she gets so much praise because she deserves to. And if her books are this good, then I can only imagine how her other works really are, and especially Heartstopper. I'm actually really excited about that. This was just so fun and just so beautiful, and it really explores what it means to be a teenager and all the teenager problems you deal with, on top of all the academic problems, on top of thinking about your future. And as teenagers, I view teenagers as kids, and as kids we shouldn't put so much pressure on thinking about our future so seriously. We should enjoy, and that's just not feasible because our society tells us that we need to think about our future and we need to plan everything now so we could have everything set up for our future. And I totally get it, but I feel like we miss out on the teenage experience sometimes because of academia and just making sure we're perfect. We should give ourselves that flexibility and allow ourselves to make mistakes, because that's what makes us human. And honestly, a life without mistakes is so boring. Can you imagine? Reading this just brought back a lot of memories of when I was younger, and just the pressure that came with having to perform at your very best and having to think about your future and having to do everything right now so my future self won't suffer. And I'm here to say that everything young Kat worried about for future Kat, it never happened. Future Kat, which is me right now compared to young Kat, I'm doing really okay. I'm doing better than I thought I would when I was younger, and I'm happy. And so this is just interesting because younger me was so worried about future me, but here I am, doing good. And just a message to a lot of younger people there who are experiencing so much academic pressure is to just give yourself grace and be flexible. I know it's literally shoved down our throats by society, by our parents, by teachers, by adults, that we have this path created for us, right? Good grades, good school, good job, blah, blah, blah. I had to restart my camera, so sorry if it looks a little different. But yeah, life isn't all about academics and whatnot, and I wish I could have told my younger self this. But it's okay. Anyways, to wrap it all up, if you haven't read this, please do. And if you are somebody who is experiencing a lot of the teenage stuff, or if you're a teenager, let's simply put it that way, then yes, this is for you. I enjoyed it. 4.5 out of 5 stars, and looking forward to more Alice Oseman books. If you have read it, let me know what you think. But I'll see you guys next time. Bye.